right, people. We're going to leave that right there. We're not going to do the whole entire song. We're going to jump right into this. Um, and and we're going to talk about something that is really dramatically different than what we usually talk about on this channel. So I want to start out here. So let me get this to the starter spot here. All right. Many are talking about this really staggering moment. Hey, Texas Lassie, how are you doing? A lot of people are talking about this shocking, staggering moment that a lot of people saw this past week. Many people have not, because you don't care about politics or whatever. But I stumbled across. I really had no intention of covering this or talking about it, but then I stumbled into a guy's channel. His channel name is Chaotic Truth. He's a really interesting person. He's a young guy, really politically motivated, but he brings these people on panel that are like super controversial and, kind of fringe on all spectrums, right? So they get into these like really passionate arguments and whatnot. And so they were doing a show the other day. One of the guys on there was saying that was saying that fashion is bringing down. Oh, Texas Lassie knows who that is. Yes, I do too. I love to watch him. So, I don't know if you saw this one the other day. The guy named Be Brave. He's pretty obnoxious. Almost really hard to listen to at times. But they were having this conversation about, is fashion at the heart of what is destroying the Western culture, right? And I thought, this is a crazy topic. Like, this is a weird, off the wall kind of topic. But I was watching anyway, and it was pretty rough, conversation, but it got super interesting. And so it didn't really take very long. There were like 3 to 4 people on the panel. 2 of those 3 or 4 were clearly had some misogynistic leanings. The other 2 were really great and normal and fine. So, but it did get weird. It got the conversation was how, women having tattoos, that was part of the breakdown of Western culture, or the fat acceptance movement, that was part of the breakdown of Western culture. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, so what you're telling us, that if women put on their cute little skater dresses and wore 4-inch heels to cook meatloaf in the kitchen by their new stove, then the world wouldn't be going to hell in a handbasket, right? And that is kind of what they were saying. There are times I have a hard time with that guy, like when he said women should not vote. Oh my God. Yes, absolutely. It got weird. It was a very weird conversation, but interesting, right? Like when you're watching it, you're just kind of in amazement that there's people out there that still believe things like that. I mean, it's pretty crazy. The other guy, Ryan, didn't he also talk about limiting voting? Didn't he talk about that people should have to take a test or something? And I was like, well, Ryan, they tried that back, during the Civil War, part of history. No, you can't give a means test, for voting. That's silly. Hey, Hybrid Pisces, how are you today? Me and Texas Lassie watched the weirdest live. It was crazy. So I'm kind of following up with that, right? Because it was a crazy live. I guess I should pull up. Let me see if I can find just a clickable moment in that live, because it was nuts. It got really weird really fast. And y'all talk about it while I pull up the video. Chaotic. Like I said, I do absolutely love the guy that does Chaotic Truth, his channel. And it's weird because actually the way that I found him was he was on Molly Golightly's show one night. Just like a call in, he just came up on panel, and like it wasn't a planned guest. And he came up and he was kind of like he was kind of like challenging her to talk, to answer some hard questions, and she never did. And so then I followed him to his channel, and that's where I discovered, his channel. Let me see if I can find where they were talking about is fashion. Fashion is destroying Western culture or something like that. I think doesn't he have like 2 channels? I'm not sure which one it was. Yeah, here it is right here. Are the elites using fashion to destroy America? Okay, so I found it. Hold on. It's weird, pretty fast. All right, so let me I'm going to get to the point where they're actually talking, and I really, really liked this guy. Okay, so I'm not sure what part we're going to. Oh, he's been horribly obnoxious right there. When he was talking to Jihad, he was really ridiculous. I wanted to get to where they were talking about voting. Hold on, let me find it. I think this is it right here. I should have thought about doing this before. Oh yeah, here, Abdul Wakil kind of started clowning on him. This is it right here. Because a lot of people in the chat started saying, I'm just here to support Chaotic Truth, and you guys are crazy. So, hey, Fancy Nancy, welcome. How are you doing? All right, so I'm going to remove this. We're going to start with this one, and y'all just get ready, because these guys it's pretty, they're pretty, okay. Sorry, I heard something weird downstairs. I was trying to hear what they were doing. Okay, so let's listen to this a little bit. Hang on to your toots, because these people are not like me and you. They are different. Hey, Lori Staggs, how are you? So the premise is, are the elites, I guess they're talking about the Illuminati or the New World Order or whoever these unnamed, faceless, World Economic Forum, whatever. Whoever these people are, right? We don't know who they are. People just talk about them like we all know who we're talking about, but we don't know. So let's listen to this, because this was weird. But this is what led me to want to talk about this today. So let's listen and hear what they have to say. It's pretty crazy.
I work out. I've always stayed, tried to maintain my health. And so at the end of the day, destructive.
Oh, I don't blame you. It's much better coming from a man, because a man is being honest with their daughter. As I said before, Ryan, you got to tell your daughter what makes this world go around. That's a woman's curves. Now, a woman can say that to another.
Okay, the guy literally just said what makes the world go round is a woman's figure, her body. Now, please take note. He's the only guy on the panel that's in disguise, number one. And please look at the door behind him, because it seems that he or someone else has barricaded himself both in that room. I don't know why. To me, it looks like maybe he's living in a storage building, but nonetheless, it's a literal 2x4 that is bracketed up against the door to stop anybody from coming in and getting him, or is it to stop him from escaping? If you listen to him very long, you will soon figure out it's probably to stop him from escaping.
Another woman. But from a dad that loves his daughter, he's, my dear, you have to stay attractive so we can get you a good man. That's coming from a dad that's very
They do
valuable.
That's how
fine
you
with
can
that.
get
So
a
I'm
good
not-
man
we
is
disagree
by
on that.
your body.
But I just know that, like, I was told early on, like, hey man, with girls, you know, let the mom talk to them about if they're eating, you know, when
Yeah.
crazy.
No,
Okay, so we're not going to talk about women's bodies
Opinions,
anymore
I'm
because
like,
you're gross.
You
You're a
don't know history. You
misogynistic
don't know
pig, and you
anything
probably
about the
don't have a
world,
woman
right?
who's
But
willing
you're
to even
telling
spend
me
time with you.
that day and walked up to the school, and she was she was mortified. She's like, "Oh my God, what are you wearing?" At the end of the day, I said, "Honey, what's wrong with that? Like, you want to hang out all over the place. If I do, what's the big deal, right?"
Yeah.
I'll embarrass the shit out of them. I don't care. So
oh, we got an actual super chat, Casey Mo. I completely disagree with almost everything I've heard since I've been listening, but I am here to support CT. No, this guy is one of the cool.
Now, this guy has taken a pair of blue jeans. He's made a mask and cut eye holes out of the blue jeans so he could see, and then put glasses over his blue jean mask. What is he hiding?
Cool kids, he can come up, but he's going to disagree with.
Here,
if I said breathe oxygen, he would disagree with me. So
Oh,
that's
now we
I don't.
Real quick to what Ryan was saying, I think it is like the women that's way more liberal to these ideas and these ideologies. Because I've noticed this, like I haven't heard anybody else speak about it, but LGBTQ, they're only 8% of the population, and that's on both the man and the women's side as far as the gays and the lesbians and stuff. But when you see their support in numbers, it's way more than 8% of the population that's coming out to support them. And when you go to
okay, now I want to point something out, okay? This guy up here, Be Brave, he was yelling at Jihad earlier in this chat, yelling at him that he would not be successful. Now, he's an entrepreneur, right? He owns his own business. Jihad owns his own business. And he was yelling at Jihad, telling him he wasn't going to be successful and he wasn't going to, you know, his business would not be successful unless Jihad cuts his dreadlocks off. That he has to cut them off. Otherwise, he's not going to be able to be successful. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, this guy is sitting there with a pair of blue jeans over his nose in a room where somebody has barricaded him into what looks to be a storage shed or a closet. Maybe it's an old closet. The guy Ryan on the right, well, he's cleaning his guns and, you know, being macho.
These rallies and stuff, it's a lot of straight females there that's just going to have a parade kind of with their girlfriend.
Absolutely.
So
engineered. That's what I'm saying. We're not catching on to the engineering.
Yeah, I've noticed that. Like, it's definitely the women, in my opinion, are way more liberal leaning, and because they dominate probably some over the men, not just like in actually voting, but also in actual pure numbers as well. They have more of a say. So maybe like a lot of people aren't realizing that as much as they should be.
The women needs to have.
So they're lamenting why it is that liberals keep winning all of the elections. And they've now decided in their masculine infinite wisdom that it's because there are more female voters than there are male voters, number one, and that female voters are predominantly voting Democrat or liberal issues. And neither of those two things is actually true. There are more females, but it is just a little bit over 50%. It's not much. So just keep listening.
Have more say than they used to. Gentlemen, there are actual women that think. Gentlemen, I've been around them. Gentlemen, hold on, let me finish. You can't throw the baby out with the bathwater because you got a whole bunch of women
I'm not
idiots.
trying to do that, but yeah.
I know you're not. I'm saying as in general, we have to be careful that you can't throw there's women that are very sensible still. Many women that are still very sensible, and they have every right to have a vote, to have their say. They are in high positions. They're very responsible. But a lot of women, you are correct. A lot of women seem to
I think the numbers
idiots.
are so high. Okay.
Yeah. For the idiots, Brian, for the idiots, you're saying?
What's
For
that?
the idiot women, the numbers are high for idiot
No,
women.
I mean, like, so I said, because I told my wife that.
Look here, most of you guys don't run your house. Shut up.
And you know that's
listen, I have a
true,
great
right?
point. But look, here's the deal. I told my wife, I said, look, man, why do you consistently vote in such high numbers? Like, you would just think on averages, like, men would vote little conservative, little Democrat, little back and forth, right?
Mm-hmm.
Single women are all voting, like 90% of them vote liberal, right? And I'm like, why is that? That's been a long time.
90%, isn't it?
It's way up there, dude. Like, if you look at single women between 20 to 50 years old, I've never met one that's like, I'm a conservative, unless she's a nut, right? But, you know,
unless she's a nut.
By the way, no offense to anyone that's out here.
Great insanity.
But yeah, I mean, so I'm like, why is it? You would think that most people would go back and forth in terms of like their ideologies over time. They're pretty much always hard left leaning. You know what I mean? And I think there's something to the nurturing part of them and the compassionate part of them.
That's why they're valuable. If they would use that and use it constructively. That's why,
ladies, y'all understand that? The reason that you're valuable is because of your curves and because that you are empathetic. That's your value, according to this mental giant.
They're valuable. They're the nurturing aspect of society. That's why.
Yes.
That's why. That's why I'm saying the damage that we're letting these blue-haired idiots do, we're not catching on to it. It's just one of the many ways to destroy. And who suffers? Women that actually try to think a little bit and
vote Republican. But wait a minute. What I was going to say. So first of all, he yells at Jihad to cut his dreadlocks off, or he's never going to be successful. He's never going to be a successful businessman. But he's barricaded in a closet, right? The other thing is he's yelling at Jihad about his hair. Now he's yelling about women who dye their hair. Who wants to bet that he has no hair?
I think they're.
I think they're kind of like captured in a way. Like if you look at The View was supposed to be all these different views. There's no different views on The View. So I'm like, and it's, I mean, no men are watching The View, obviously. In a sense, they're almost.
I thought they occasionally put a conservative on there. I've never seen it. Oh, I've seen minutes of it.
I mean, even the conservative is like, yeah. The
conservative is like has to apologize for everything she says before she says.
It's like going on the 5 on Fox, where it's like it's Juan Williams by himself. He's a Democrat, and then 4 conservatives just beating him down the whole show. It's like it's a slanted show, right? But women watch The View. They believe everything on there, and it's almost like they don't look in it. You know, I don't know, man. I mean,
right when you speak of women,
my daughters and wife get so mad when I say this, and YouTube is forever, so I'll probably.
Yeah, it is forever, Ryan.
Yeah, but anyway, but really, like, there's something to that. So it's totally changed how society is, and a
lot of that has to do with people saying, "Look, a lot of that has to do with men having to take the blame because the man didn't say." And I'm not talking about running your household. I'm not talking about controlling a woman. I'm saying this. I'm saying this. When a woman says a certain thing, that's when the man has to go, okay, I've got kids by you, and you keep holding on to that. I'm really now not that in love with you because you're grossing me out with your thinking. If a man would just say that rather than leave, he would get probably some help.
All right, how about this?
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I vandalized stuff, and my dad. I had to go apologize. I went out and vandalized stuff. I was like 14, maybe 13. Stuff. Just went to the next house. Right?
Had to go.
Imagine being in a store and a woman.
What did it?
And like
What
a
did
man.
Adrian? How bad did the dude beat his kid? I mean, a father should.
I don't know. Look, I'm not for abusing children. I'm not for abusing children.
Okay. I was gonna say, a father don't need
Well,
to break it.
He's not for abusing children, but he's bragging that his dad literally kicked his butt all the way down the sidewalk and through town as he went and apologized to all the business owners. He was walking in front of his dad. His dad was reaching up and literally kicking him, making him go apologize to all these. And he says that will make America great again if we just need some dads who are willing to kick some butt.
Kids' jaws.
And when I was in the store as a kid,
and poor Jihad is sitting down there watching this, and you can see like this little bubble, like this little thought bubble come out over his head. Like, is this real? Are they serious? Do they believe what they're saying? He's really the only one on this panel who, when he talks, you're not cringing, going, "Oh my God, did you really just say that?"
Oh, just because he's.
When I was in the store as a kid, I would see women grab their kid by like that shoulder, by like here, right, and just just whoop that ass, right? That's gone. If you saw that now, someone would call the police.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Someone would call the cops and go, "They've abused their kid." Like, that's women having control over that situation. They've done.
Okay, y'all get the general gist of this thing, right?
And
the feminization. I think the feminization, the feminism bullshit is being used as a weapon. But I think women, they have their feminine traits, and it's very valuable. And we just haven't simply made proper use of it. And now, because we haven't made proper use of it, we're saying stupid shit like women shouldn't vote.
Yeah. Thank you. We're going to stop right there. Okay. All right. So you got the general idea of who these people are. You can go over to Chaotic Truth and you can watch the whole thing. And all I can say for you is bring your smelling salts, ladies, because your tender little heart is not going to be able to tolerate the immense misogyny and stupidity that came off of this panel. Jihad, you are the exception. Okay, now then. And to some extent, Ryan was okay. He had some weird ideas about the whole corporal punishment issue, and whatnot. But Be Brave is definitely a man of a different time and day, right? White men hold more wealth and power than any other demographic on earth, and that is what they've become. Very excellent point, Hybrid. Okay, now I want to be really fair. Okay, my dad was an old white guy with a considerable amount of wealth. My husband, my brother is an absolute doll. I know some of these white guys, old white guys, they're good people. Enough so that when I listened to this, my mouth was hanging open. I was aghast. It was crazy to listen to. And I didn't really show the part in early on. Oh, yeah, absolutely, Jen. Absolutely. Appalachia, the destruction of an entire people there in the Appalachian, Ohio River Valley area when they took out all the factories and sent them to China. What they did to those people was absolutely unforgivable. And so that's kind of one of those, issues near and dear to my heart. I cannot wrap my head around why we are spending all this money over in the Ukraine when we've abandoned an entire group of people. We just took their jobs. We gave them nothing in return, nothing. So we can't turn our backs on our own citizens, in my opinion. And we've definitely been guilty of that, in the past 35, 40 years. We've definitely been guilty of that. So this video, this panel that we were watching on Chaotic Truth, the whole premise was, are the elites, the great unseen gods of money, are they using fashion to kill Western culture? And I clicked on it because I thought, well, that sounds kind of interesting. And then it wasn't. It was sad and misogynistic and goofy and weird. So we had that conversation going on, and me reacting with just, well, I'm just glad that some of my comments were not put up on the video. That's where I'm going to leave that. Now I want to share something else that I saw, and my jaw hit the ground, and I thought, no, I don't think it's fashion that is causing the problem. I think it's something else. Because if you ask me, these three women, well, there's four up here, but the three women that you can see their faces, the one farthest away in the gray hair, she is with Massachusetts Institute of Technology. Yes, that would be MIT, the greatest minds in the world in STEM research. They're at MIT. You got kids at MIT graduating with PhDs when they're 18, 19 years old. So they're the bomb, right? Then the one in the middle, guess where she is? Another Ivy League, University of Pennsylvania, number 4 in the nation, perhaps in the entire world. Again, Wharton School of Business, the best of the best, the top of everybody's brass ring. If you're a smart kid, these are your 3 goals right here. And this this woman sitting closest to us, well, that would be Harvard. So we're looking at MIT, we're looking at University of Pennsylvania, and we're looking at Harvard, the ultimate brass ring for anyone with an IQ over 142. All right. They are impeccably dressed. They are as elegant and it just perfection in terms of fashion, correct? Well, then wouldn't you think, according to what these guys were talking about, wouldn't you think that they would have the answer to what's wrong with the modern world? Or at least in the West, the Western civilization, Europe and United States, well, North America, Europe. Well, let's listen to this debacle. And if you've seen this already, put a 1 in the chat. I'm just
harassment, yes or no?
If targeted at individuals, not making public statements.
Yes or no? Calling for the genocide of Jews does not constitute bullying and harassment?
I have not heard calling for the genocide for Jews on our campus.
But you've heard chants for intifada.
I've heard chants, which can be anti-Semitic depending on the context, when calling for the elimination of the Jewish people.
So those would not be according to the MIT's code of conduct or rules?
That would be investigated as harassment if pervasive and severe.
Oh, okay. So it's got to be pervasive and severe. It's okay if you just say, I want all Jewish people to die. You can say that, but you better not get the pronoun wrong. This is where we're at. I'm not being insightful. I'm not being crazed and weird and off the cuff here. This is real. This happened this week. The greatest minds in the country, people.
Gil, at Penn, does calling for the genocide of Jews violate Penn's rules or code of conduct? Yes or no?
If the speech turns into conduct, it can be harassment. Yes.
Oh, okay. So you mean, Miss McGill, if we fire up the ovens, then it'll be a problem? Or if we go buy the poison for the Kool-Aid, maybe there'll be an investigation? I don't know, but somehow that's super uncomfortable, Ms. McGill. Maybe you could explain that better.
I am asking specifically calling for the genocide of Jews, does that constitute bullying or harassment?
If it is directed and severe or pervasive, it is harassment.
So the answer is yes.
It is a context-dependent decision, Congresswoman.
It's a context-dependent.
Context dependent. So does this bother anybody? Like, is this even mildly uncomfortable? Do they support Hamas's segregation in public schools in Palestine? Do they support the segregation in public schools? The road to hell is paved with Ivy League degrees. Maybe. I'll tell you why this is so uncomfortable. Because we've gotten to a place, or in my opinion, this is just me, this is my opinion. Because we've reached this place in our Western culture where we want so desperately to be sensitive, correct? Like we want to be inclusive, we want to be sensitive. We've abandoned this idea that the majority rules, and that if you're in the minority, regardless of what it is, then, too bad for you. That in fact, we can have these 3 cavemen, or I guess I should say 2 cavemen on Chaotic Truth. We could have these guys making all the rules, and then we would all be okay. And everybody said, no, this is what they're saying. That's not right. That's not okay. We need some women in charge. So we got it. We got 3 great women in charge. Are we doing any better? Does this sound like we're doing any better? Maybe intelligence and good decisions, logic, rational thought, maybe it's not dependent upon gender at all. Maybe it's dependent on something else, because we're not doing any better having females in charge, because this was terrifying. Here's why it's terrifying. Because if you belong to the right group, and that group is one that has like an organized voice, and so they'll go out and they'll march and they'll, do all the campaigns, do the whole cancel culture, deal, target businesses and things like that, then you feel very powerful. And people that have too much power, they get stupid, right? It's when the power is shared, when you balance out one another, when you put an idea on the table and everybody gives their opinion, and then you kind of try to choose the opinion that's going to work best for balancing the problem. No extremes allowed, correct? So we've gotten so focused and hungry for inclusivity and letting the minority faction, I'm not talking about race, I'm talking about any group that is smaller than the majority group, letting them have their say, giving them power to do and say the things that are important to them. We've reached that point now that it's become mechanical and robotic. We're seeing a whole bunch of stupid up there in front of Congress right there. Usually it's Congress that's showing a whole lot of stupid, but this was to the extreme, because you say, well, of course not. No, you can't call for the death of anyone. If you take out this Jewish issue, you don't talk about the Israel. Let's just say calling for the genocide of Polish people. Is that okay? Calling to kill every person who lives in Texas. Is that okay? Calling for the death of every person with Mayan genetics, Mayan background or Incan background. It's absolutely atrocious. It is exactly what Hitler did. Exactly. He demonized a group to take people that were hurting, where there wasn't enough money, there wasn't enough jobs, and he targeted a group. And those people that were hungry and they had no job and they had no house, They were told, we're going to get rid of these Jews because they're bad people, and you're going to get to move into their mansions, and you're going to go find their diamonds, and you're going to go take their wealth. Isn't that great? And the German people said, woo, yeah, let's go. We can never revisit that time in history. Never. Never. And that's what started, I think, this feeling of accepting people, whatever their preferences are and whatever their desires are. It's very important to give them a protected place. And I agree with that 100%. But how far is too far? For example, Riley Gaines, she's in beast mode as a swimmer, right? I mean, she is the best, and there are no other women swimmers that even come close to the level that she has achieved, okay? And yet, she was completely slapped down by the system, completely slapped down. Why? In favor of saying, look, you didn't swim the fastest. And a lot of rational people are going, yeah, but because she was competing against someone whose genetics didn't allow her to be able to compete. If we keep the playing field even, which is why you have in boxing lightweight, heavyweight, featherweight, right? Or in age ranges, you have kids that play baseball against each other, 7 to 12, 13 to 15, 16 to 18. You have to keep the playing field even. You have to try to keep if the competition is physical prowess, then it has to be an even level playing field. What are you going to do? You're going to put an NFL player out there to compete against Pee-wee football on the weekends? No, nobody would even think that was even remotely appropriate. And so Riley Gaines ends up being in the middle of this terrible political spectacle she never wanted. And so she went to a university to give a speech, and they literally, this same group of people with this calling for intifada, calling for the death of all Jewish people, the same group of people cornered her in a room in the library. They tried to ask for ransom to let her out. They told school officials that they would kill her if she left there, because she was simply saying it's not fair what happened to me. Okay, so that's how we've gotten here. Not because women have tattoos. It doesn't have anything to do with having tattoos or being overweight or any of those weird things that the guys were talking about. It's that we take any good idea, and I'm talking about any good idea. We take any good idea and we go to the extreme with it. And it doesn't matter if it's to the right or to the left or up or down. Any extreme idea is going to lead to madness and stupidity. And that's what we're seeing from 3 women who are absolutely, they have the credentials, they have the accomplishments, they can show you they are among the greatest minds in the country, perhaps the world. And yet they literally sat there with all the cameras of the world pointed at them and said, oh no, calling for the genocide of Jewish people is just fine as long as there's no action. What's the action? What's the action? Coming in on parasails with machine guns? Is that the action that we're then going to investigate? Or maybe we need to back up a little bit and get back into some reality. Yeah? So let's finish listening to what they had to say, because frankly, of all the crazy, unbelievable things that I've seen come out of the United States Congress, I mean, really, some of the stuff these congressmen and women say is baffling. And you think, what, how, where, who, where, how'd they get voted in? This from three of the greatest minds in the world was just incredible.
And that's your testimony today. Calling for the genocide of Jews is depending upon the context. That is not bullying or harassment. This is the easiest question to answer yes, Ms. McGill. So is your testimony that you will not answer yes?
If it if the
Yes
speech
or no?
becomes, if the speech becomes conduct, it can be harassment. Yes.
Conduct meaning committing the act of genocide? The speech is not harassment. This is unacceptable, Ms. McGill. I'm going to give you one more opportunity for the world to see your answer. Does calling for the genocide of Jews violate Penn's code of conduct when it comes to bullying and harassment? Yes or no?
It can be harassment.
The answer is yes. And Dr. Gay, at Harvard.
And here's the thing I don't understand about Miss McGill. And I'm baffled by this, because these three women would be my heroes. Well, I mean, technically they are, right? My question would be, what if this was to call for the death of, what if this was to call for the death of Christians or Methodists? Would they say the same? Would they take the same stance if there was a group of people that were saying, we have to destroy all of the churches, we have to kill every single Baptist or Methodist or Catholic? Would their answer be the same? I don't think so. I don't think so. I think when you look at McGill's face, hold on, I'll go back to it. Hold on. Look at her face. She looks frightened to me. Look how hard she's holding her lips together. She's holding her lips together because anything she says is going to be wrong. Now that leads normal people like me and you to go, but how can it be wrong? That a 5-year-old child can tell you that you cannot call for the death of one person, much less an entire race. We don't do that in this country. We don't do that. That is the whole reason that we have the United States Constitution, how we ended up over here, why we fought the Revolutionary War. We don't do that. And this is one of the greatest minds in the world sitting here, and she doesn't know what to say because someone's going to get mad at her. And here's the question. This was the point of why I wanted to do this conversation. Is she really afraid of us? Is she afraid of the people reacting as the people have? I mean, people are outraged, right? I mean, everywhere. I have not heard not one person stand up for these three women. Not one. Was she afraid of us, the general public, the donors? Is that what she was afraid of? Or is there some group out there? Is there someone out there that is telling her what she has to believe? Is there something sacred about the whole Palestinian Jewish issue that someone has given them their marching orders and said, you cannot support the Jewish people on this particular issue under any circumstances, that if this conversation comes up, 100%, you must side with the Palestinian issue. You must. You don't have the luxury of going with logic. You must side with us at all costs, because that's the only thing I could think of that would cause her to look frightened. No, they're not getting rid of her because she's white. Absolutely not. This doesn't have anything to do with race. No. we are way beyond race. That is not an issue in this country, not like it has been, not in the ruling classes. That playing field is evening out, I think. She's definitely not afraid of the general public. No, I don't think she cares what we think, DB. I'm pretty certain of that. Just look at people who commit crimes and write manifestos that we read afterward. It is so full of hate speech. Correct. It's so full of hate speech, and we are all horrified, aren't we? We read the hate speech, we read these manifestos, and we're just amazed, and we just think, my God, what happened to cause this person to develop so much hate for another group of people? Now, the whole Palestinian-Israel thing, that's long-standing. That's thousands of years. We can't tackle that problem. That's bigger, much bigger than us. But yeah, here in the United States or Canada or Mexico or the European nations, Norway, Greenland, blah, blah, blah. We don't, we try to teach our kids to be kind and to be loving and to be accepting of others and share their things, right? We all do. We're all raising our kids to try to be these nice, loving, sweet, kind people. All of us are. And so when we read something that's aberrant, when we run across an opinion like the Criminal Manifesto, it's one of the reasons why people are so fascinated by serial killers, because they're doing something that the entire world is disgusted by, right? It's an abomination. Their humanity is gone from that person that's committing these heinous acts. And now we have 3 of the greatest minds in the world sitting in front of the United States Congress with every camera in the world pointed at their faces live. And they sit there and say, oh, yeah, no problem. You can call for the death of Jews all day long, not a problem, but you better not do it. Why would they do? What were they thinking? I don't think they were. I think there was no wiggle room. Someone more powerful than they has told them they are not to go against the Palestinian argument under any circumstances. Isn't that interesting? Because maybe that is where the answer lies, not what we women are wearing or whether we have tattoos. I'm going to be quiet and let this thing finish here.
Conduct meaning committing the act of genocide? The speech is not harassment. This is unacceptable, Ms. McGill. I'm going to give you one more opportunity for the world to see your answer. Does calling for the genocide of Jews violate Penn's code of conduct when it comes to bullying and harassment? Yes or no?
And the answer is yes.
It can be harassment.
No, it is harassment.
Yes.
It is bullying, and it's terroristic.
At Harvard,
correct.
Does calling for the genocide of Jews violate Harvard's rules of bullying and harassment? Yes or no?
It can be, depending on the context.
What's the context?
Targeted as an individual, at an individual.
It's targeted at
pervasive.
Jewish students, Jewish individuals. Do you understand your testimony is dehumanizing them?
Do you understand that she just committed a hate crime? Well, I don't know why we're focusing on bullying. This is a hate crime. You can't look at someone based on their religion or their ethnicity and say, I want you to die because you are a Catholic or because you are Indian or because you are anything else. You can't do that in the United States now. There's laws against it.
Do you understand that dehumanization is part of anti-Semitism? I will ask you one more time. Does calling for the genocide of Jews violate Harvard's rules of bullying and harassment? Yes or no?
Anti-Semitic rhetoric. when
And is it
crosses into
anti-Semitic rhetoric?
Anti-Semitic rhetoric when it crosses into conduct that amounts to bullying, harassment, intimidation, that is actionable conduct, and we do take action.
I'm going to ask you guys a question. There were thousands of people, well, probably hundreds of people out marching, screaming for intifada. There were kids that are Jewish that were trembling and sobbing and begging professors to help them. And they were saying, you have to stop this. They are calling for people to kill me. They said that. It was on, they recorded kids that were doing that, panicked, begging professors to intervene. The professors refused. Why?
So the answer is yes, that calling for the genocide of Jews violates Harvard Code of Conduct, correct?
Again, it depends on the context.
It does not depend on the context. The answer is yes, and this is why you should resign. These are unacceptable answers across the board.
Now, I would suspect there are going to be plenty of people who are going to say, oh no, what they said was just fine. It isn't fine. And anyone who's intelligent knows it's not even remotely fine. In fact, there are some notable people who are actually quite liberal, Democrats even, who not only are saying this is completely unacceptable and no, this is absurd. They cannot be the heads of 3 of the top universities in the country, that is not appropriate. And one major donor who is decidedly on the left end of the political spectrum, he has withdrawn his gift, $100 million, because of Ms. McGill's testimony in front of the United States Congress this week. That would be Ross Stevens. He is the founder and CEO of Stone Ridge Asset Management. He has been very vocal about criticizing University of Pennsylvania President Liz McGill. He himself is a graduate of the university, and he quite shocking. Stevens says that the school violated the terms of the limited partnership agreement, including anti-discrimination and anti-harassment policies. They said it's a permissive approach to hate speech, calling for violence against Jews, and laissez-faire attitude toward harassment and discrimination against Jewish students would violate any policies or rules that prohibit harassment and discrimination based on religion, including those of Stone Ridge. So there are dozens and dozens of attorneys and business owners, and they are all withdrawing their money. But this one guy, $100 million gift, he has pulled it off the table and he has said, so sorry, I'm done with you. And he redirected the funds to the University of Chicago. It is unclear whether he intends to, put the money back where it should be, which is the University of Pennsylvania. It's a great university. It's unclear whether that gift will go back to U of Penn if she leaves. She is in trouble. McGill specifically is under the gun. She came out the next day with a well-crafted, not apology, and she just looked foolish and shallow during it. It wasn't effective, fell on deaf ears. Wharton School of Business is outraged. Harvard is outraged. The Harvard president, she has got professors that are marching against her. They will all ultimately lose their positions, I believe. And the endowment funding problem drying up. Oh yeah. So That's right, Chevron. But yeah, that's a different. Yeah, but my thoughts on this. I thought it was so interesting. Remember, we started out with Chaotic Truth, who is posing this question: is fashion? Is fashion what is creating such a dramatic change in the Western culture, and that that men, is as long as men were in charge, we didn't have all these problems, and now we got ladies in charge and we have these problems. And I thought, no, this doesn't have anything to do with men know how to do it or women know how to do it. Misogynism doesn't work. Violence doesn't work. None of it. Anytime we go to the extreme, this is the problem. Any extreme, left or right, any extreme, things get wonky and weird and crazy. And so that's the cautionary tale in all of this, is we need to bring back some logical, just rational, kind of middle of the road decisions that make sense for American citizens and families. That's it. We need to quit all of this really far, crazy, extreme on either end, because it's causing people to say and do things that are irrational. Okay, I'm finished. What do you guys think? Well, you know what, Voice for the Voiceless, I even made like thumbnails and everything. I started to do Katie's, talk about Katie's case, especially after all the crazy, weird stuff that happened with that. And then I thought, well, I'm going to wait until a bigger group picks it up. So I'm glad to hear you say that it's getting traction, because now I feel better about talking about it. Women and men are many times both equally qualified leaders. They lead differently. We measure too much against the male standard of what leadership looks like. Agreed, Jen. And that was one thing that struck me at this table. When you think about the Ivy League colleges, I don't know why, in my mind, I never would have thought it's going to be all men or it's going to be all women. It just doesn't. And I was shocked to see that all of them are women. So the pendulum has swung, right? We've gone from all male dominating everything. Now we're swinging all the way back that women are now dominating. And I'm going to tell you something, in medicine, the people that are being graduated from medical school, women are everywhere. It is rare to see in the hospital and stuff. It's rare to see a man. Chief of staff is usually male still, but in terms of like the doctors and surgeons, women they're dominating. So here we've got the top four colleges in the country. All four have women university presidents. All four. What did I just say 5 minutes ago? Any extreme is going to lead to nonsense. So any far right, it's going to lead to nonsense. Any far left, it's going to lead to nonsense. All male, nonsense. All female, nonsense. We balance one another. All of us, we all balance one another. The atheists balance the Christians, right? It all balances. And the reality, that's what the country looks like, or that's what the Western world looks like. We're supposed to be a good balance. And that is being radically challenged right now, and not with good results. So it's just something to think about. It wasn't just that you can't say that these four very powerful women saying that the death of calling for the genocide of the Jewish people, that is okay, that you can't do it, but it's okay to say it, by very brilliant people who are connected, right? They're in the know. There's something wrong there. There's a disconnect, and we really have to stop and say, but why? Why did they feel so empowered to say something so nonsensical? And we don't know the answer to. We don't know what the answer is, but they did. It was a very strange moment in the world. Very strange. All right. Agreed, Fancy Nancy. Banfield covered it. Let's see. Hey, Alma. Thank you, Alma. You can say whatever you want to. That's all right. Yeah, the right answer cost her $100 million. And that was just one donor. That wasn't all the donors. That's just one of their biggest endowments that they have. Well, then I'm going to do it hybrid. Yeah, like I said, I even have the, I made thumbnails and I've got my outlines and, I knew I just I was just about to start talking about it. And then I went over to Allegedly with Brittany J and saw what all happened with, talking about Voiceless. And I thought, oh, I maybe I'll just wait because I didn't know, that was nasty. That was, I don't know. I can't do the whole tribalism thing. It's, I've done that before. It's not good. So I'm an army of one. I sail my own ship. So look, we do have a lot of trials that are gearing up, right? I mean, we've got January the 24th. Excuse me. We have January 24th. Then we've got Lori Vallow, Chad Daybell is April 1st and April 5th or 4th. Is it 4th or 5th? So there's a lot coming up. The mother went on Banfield and stated Adam murdered Kate. What do you think, Voice? Do you think that's what happened? Or do you have a different idea? Because I'm going to tell you, for me, I think it looks bad for the dad. Hope it snows in January. Where are you going to be, Jen? Depends on what's your elevation going to be in January. It's a terrible story, isn't it? So sad. Oh, I know, Voice for the Voiceless. That's what got me in so much trouble with the Charlie Adelson thing. DC so likely knows no. I don't know though, Jim, because you guys up there on the East Coast, y'all are supposed to have like Snowmageddon because of El Nino, right? Or El Nina. Down here in Galveston, I think what's our temperature today, Bill?
80.
We're 80, literally 80 degrees. December.
Tomorrow will be 40.
But tomorrow we got a cold spell. It's going to be 40. So yeah. But I do, you have pretty good chance for snow, Jen, because of the El Nino thing, according to my sources at AccuWeather. That was why I had to cut ties. She is a loose cannon. Yeah, it could definitely get you. Oh my God, aren't you in Wyoming? I would think it would be colder than 32. Yeah, Jen, I think y'all have some pretty good chances of snow this year because of the weird, change in the jet stream. But yeah, today people just laying around in Texas in bikinis and stuff. No, it may not be that. They could. It's 80 degrees, but it's pretty nice. And I was kind of bummed out because I got up, I put my velvet jogging suit on, my hot pink velvet jogging suit, and thought I was looking all spiffy. And then I was like, damn, I'm hot. It's sweaty. So I had to change into a t-shirt. It is hybrid, but I think it's, I don't think it's good news. And Voice for the Voiceless has information too, because there was some discussion about, well, I'll let her tell you, but one of the kids had some injuries, right? When he showed up with the kids, but not with her. Are you going to the koi pond? That's one of the coolest things I've ever seen. I've never seen a koi pond that big, ever. It's very pretty. Hybrid said, stop, it's freezing. How cold are y'all, Hybrid? She's in Canada. That's the real cold. So the baby, 11 months old, was burned on her right arm. And I think he said she stumbled and fell in a fire. Is that what it was? Made me think about, wonder where that 11-month-old was when that gunshot went through the door. Is that what burned the baby? Just under freezing right now, but it was minus 20 last week. Good God, that is inhuman. Hybrid Pisces. Do you guys have like tunnels underground that y'all like go to the grocery store, or do you actually walk through minus 20-degree weather? Wrist and shoulder was due to her falling in a fire. But how was there a fire in the car? Yes, Jen, that was a igloos. We needed igloos about when was that? When was the big freeze, Bill? 4 years ago?
Last year.
No.
2 years ago.
Remember when we were under all the covers and we had the barbecue pit in the house?
2 years ago.
No, was not 2 years ago.
Why'd you ask me if you don't like
That's
that?
not true. That is not when it was. It was like 4 years ago when all those people died. Remember?
3
You're
years-
so crazy,
3
Bill.
years ago.
You are so
Could have
crazy.
been 4 years ago.
I think it
3
was.
years ago.
When did Texas freeze over? The Great Freeze, February 2021. Final estimate of the storm's death was 246. It happened between February the 11th and that can't be right. Yeah, the Texas power crisis. Yeah, you want to know what the power crisis was? People thinking that their little windmills were going to work in, sub-zero weather. I know, Mace. That was a little peek into the real life around here. Yeah, that's how all of our conversations go. It was bad, Jen. It was really bad. There was a woman in Austin. She was an elderly lady. She was like in her 80s. They found her frozen to the sidewalk. It was horrible.
How did you know, Kitty? How did you know?
Yeah, I think that's what made it so bad was we always get a night or two where it gets down into single digits, right? That always happens, but never with a whole entire week. And it so happened that during that time, they were reliant on the windmill energy. And of course, everybody knows windmill energy is really great as long as it's not an extreme. And that goes along with the theme of this live. Anytime you go to the extreme, that's when you get stupid. And that was extreme. It was a whole week of single digit temperatures. Some nights it was even down to 0. And there's no wind, there's no sunshine. The generators were too cold. They couldn't start the gas, generators. So it was a disaster. It was an absolute disaster. And have they fixed the problem? No, they haven't. So we're in trouble if it happens again. That's all I can say. But we have snow clothes, right? Like skiing stuff. So we were wrapped up in clothes. We had blankets, and we had all the dogs. And then Bill would take the phones or the computers and run out to the truck and sit and charge up all of the batteries and then run back in the house. And he brought the barbecue grill into the house. The fish cooker. He brought the fish cooker into the house, and then he'd turn it on. He'd light it for, I don't know what, maybe 30 minutes. Yep. He'd light it for like 30 minutes, then he'd turn it off so we wouldn't get carbon, monoxide poisoning. It was a spectacle. It was an absolute spectacle. But we came out 100% better than a lot of people. There was a guy maybe like 8 miles from our house. He died sitting in his recliner. He let his sister take his bed, and I guess the mattress helped keep her warm, but he was sleeping in the recliner and did not have enough blankets, and he died of the cold. So we learned stuff. Voice for the voiceless. We're ready to come to Wyoming. Damn it! No, I'm kidding. I don't know if I can survive in Wyoming. For one problem is that I have the lung capacity of a porpoise. And in terms of like body temperature, I don't know. I don't think I could do any better than maybe a great American house cat. And I don't think they can survive very well out in the snow where y'all are. So have to be in the summer. I'm not a koi fish. All right. Exactly, Jen. Yeah, and Bill, my husband does it all the time. It doesn't matter what I say. He says, no, that's not right. And then he changes what I said. I like the cold, not that cold, but I've come to appreciate it, and I love the snow. Absolutely. I will voice for the voiceless. I would like that if you would come up on panel and add your 2 cents in. Okay, people. Well, I got to go because we're going to go and look at Christmas lights. We're going to go and have white chocolate raspberry cheesecake. And then we're going to go and look at Christmas lights. The rich people, we're going to Tanglewood, or is that where we're going? Or are we going to Memorial City? Anyway, we're going somewhere where all the rich people have all the lights out. So that's where we're going. And it's 80 degrees. So if we wanted to get in the back end of the truck to ride around and look at Christmas lights, we legitimately could do that tonight. Oh, no, that's good, voice. I'm good with it. I like the cold. Yeah, I'm excited, hybrid. Looking forward to it. I worked a lot this week, so it'll be fun to get out of the house and do some stuff. All right, everybody. As you can probably guess, this video is probably going to go to members only and stay there, because you and I both know there are some extreme people on the internet that really have a hard time tolerating a different opinion. And that's okay. I can live with that. But yeah, So if you're watching this, I'll wait for, I don't know, an hour and let you finish it, and then I'm going to move it over to members only to live there forever. All right. It is sad, hybrid. I'm still pretty surprised, shell shocked, I guess, about how angry people got about my position on Charlie Adelson. And yet you wouldn't believe the number of emails that I've gotten from people that say, I agree with you completely. I don't think he had anything to do with it, that it was Donna and Wendy. And I still stand by what I said. I think Wendy and Katie Magbanoa, I think they knew each other. I'm talking about outside of Charlie, that they developed a friendship outside of Charlie. But the people that have been following that case, they are 100% invested. I support them in that. You all know my position on Barry Morphew, right? And no one would ever be able to convince me that I'm wrong about what I believe happened to Suzanne. So it's exactly the same situation as with the whole Charlie Adelson deal. So yeah, I'm respectful of it. It's okay. I just wish they would be a little bit more forgiving of me. Show some grace for me. They are tight and they had been together for 9 years. Very good point, Hybrid Pisces. Very, very good point, right? Now, yeah, I agreed. I mean, that's just like with the Barry Morphew thing. I mean, AK and Martin and all of us and the people of Salida, we've all kind of bonded that same way, right? So, yeah, totally agree. Totally agree. But I still think the Adelson case is so... One of the reasons why I wish that they would have a little more grace is because I think it would be really interesting conversation to have opposing sides, right? A group arguing Charlie Adelson's innocence as opposed to Charlie Adelson's guilt. Because look, if the Innocence Project of Florida has already picked up this case, what does that tell you? If they're already looking at the conviction of Charlie Adelson and he hasn't even been sentenced yet, something is wrong in the way that was prosecuted. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see. And if you're an Adelson community person, I love all of you. I do. I'm not sitting around thinking, oh, you guys are wrong. That is not in my head at all. It's my discomfort. I know it clear. I feel very uncomfortable that that all of the witnesses got something out of it. They all were revealed to be liars and looked like they didn't know answers on the witness stand. You cannot understand what's being said on the recordings. And then when the guy gets up on the witness stand, nobody's able to impeach him, not even the damn behavior panel. So what does that look like? I mean, if it looks like a duck and it walks like a duck and it sounds like a duck, it's not a golden retriever. So it's uncomfortable. It's and it's sad. I mean, you think about somebody losing some innocent person going to prison the rest of their lives. That is a nightmare. Truest sign of intelligence is the ability to entertain two contradictory ideas simultaneously, attributed to F. Scott Fitzgerald. Absolutely, Jen. 100%. So that's actually, it's interesting that you said that. That's actually at the heart of overcoming trauma, healing from trauma. It requires the development of tolerance for being able to think about and process the trauma that you experienced while also staying in contact with the knowledge and awareness that you are safe now and you are not under threat. Because when someone recalls trauma, I'm talking about in the case of complex trauma or PTSD, when they recall that memory, that trigger is activated, then the brain automatically, in an effort to keep you safe, the brain automatically goes straight to all the trauma memory, the photographic memory that happened at that moment of trauma, and all of the perceptual memory, it's all there, it's all intact, and you're instantly transported back to that moment of trauma. And so the people that have these diagnoses, they lose, because the body is trying to protect you, they lose the awareness that, no, I'm right here today, December 9th, 2023, I'm okay. I can think about the trauma and not be in the trauma. And that actually becomes part of the treatment process, is to help them, first of all, get in touch with themselves perceptually and sensory wise. So yoga is very effective in that kind of thing, and dance and things like that, gymnastics if they're young. And then after they become really focused and grounded again within their own body, then you can begin processing the trauma memories and do it kind of like a modified exposure type of scenario, using the learned coping skills that they developed before you started the exposure. So it's a long treatment. It's very linear. It's very organized. And it's all designed around this premise of you can remember and not be in the trauma. You can process the trauma and not be in it. And so I don't know why did we go on that little tangent, but we did. Okay. I find it difficult at times. My cognitive dissonance kicks in quick on occasion. Perfect example. Absolutely, Jen. That is what I have to use in a panic attack. Correct. So you've probably learned like grounding exercises that pull you back down into the here and now in your body and focus. Yeah. Keeping the amygdala blue, not red. There you go. I like it. Yeah. I use the example probably because I'm not as polished as others. I like to use the example of, dogs, right? Like our pets, that if the wolf comes to the door and you're sitting there, you're just trying to watch TV, live your best life, relaxing, got your feet up. And the wolf comes to the door and your dog smells it, senses it, and begins to bark and bark and bark and bark and bark. Well, that's what the amygdala is doing, right? The brain is sensing that there's some kind of danger in the environment. You may not know what that is, but something about old memory, your brain is going, oh, we may have a problem here. And so your dogs start barking, or your amygdala goes red rather than blue. And so if the dogs are barking and you just keep saying, be quiet, be quiet, be quiet, the dog is going to continue to bark. But the very minute that you get up and you walk over to the door and you open the door to show your dog, no, it's not a wolf. It was the UPS guy and he's gone now. So why are you still barking? You look foolish. Then your little dog looks around outside and goes, oh, gosh, I guess I was wrong. And he goes and he lays back down in his bed. And now you feel calm and now you can sit down and watch TV again, right? So rather than trying to ignore whatever your brain is trying to perceive as danger, it's a lot more productive to sort of stay in the moment and explore it and say, wait a minute, is that really a wolf at my door, or am I misreading something? And once you open the door and you look and say, no, I'm not in danger, that's just X, Y, and Z, then your amygdala will go blue and you can sit back down and watch TV again. So stay in the moment, right? Do your breathing. All right. Breathe through it. All right. then my golden doodle is broken. Well, in your case, Alma, it's a parrot squawking, right? Alma, have you seen that YouTube video of the guy who's out in the driveway and he's washing his car? And you can hear a woman screaming in the house, right? There's a woman screaming in the house going, "Let me out, let me out, ah, ah." And somebody calls the cops because it's happening. So the cops come up with the neighbors and they're like, "Sir, there's seems to be a woman trapped in your house. Is there a problem here?" And he says, "Come with me." And he brings the cops into his house. It's his parrot. His parrot is screaming just like a woman. And the parrot is screaming to come outside because he wants to be with the dad. It's the greatest thing. It's so funny, isn't it? It's the bird. My American bully suffers from PTSD from when we were broken into while he and I were alone. Oh my goodness, Texas. They're so pretty, aren't they? My son's girlfriend has got a gorgeous bully. So pretty. The guy is working on his Mini Cooper. That's it, Alma. That's the one. Yes. Parrot's going, "Let me out. Let me out." So yeah, that is it. That the bullies are beautiful dogs. But one time I was getting gas in my car. This truck pulls up beside me, big old black truck, lifts on it and everything. This guy gets out, he starts putting gas in his car. I'm putting gas in my tiny little Mustang, just kind of standing there. I was putting the gas nozzle back up into the machine. And all of a sudden, this enormous, huge black head comes up out of the back end of the truck, and he goes, "Woof." I'm talking about his head was bigger than a basketball. This was the biggest dog I've ever seen in my life. Solid black from head to toe. Nobody was breaking in that guy's house, I can promise. The funny thing was, he, woofed at me, not loud, but just real deep. He woofed at me and I kind of froze for a minute. And the guy standing there and he just started laughing. He said, "Samson, stop." And Samson started wiggling and shaking his tail. And then it was all over. And I was like, Samson's a killer. That is for sure. Yeah, the parrots can be very loud. Absolutely. And I don't know why they squawk like that. It's a terrible sound. Mine is black with a white chest. He howls if he can't see me. Poor baby. He's scared, Mama. He needs you. Alma said her parrot says, "Why'd you scare me, stupid?" Parrots are great. I love them. I love all animals. It is a good car alarm. Yeah, absolutely. You say, "Woof." Yeah. Well, I can't think of anything else to talk about, y'all. Breaking news. They arrested Barrymore Few. Tell me, that would be the best birthday present ever. Did they arrest him? Who's the breaking news about? Oh, good. There you go. He's an official. So the husband, is it Adam? Isn't it Adam Aviles? Aviles. Adam Aviles is now an official suspect. Very good. He should be under the jail. I think they let him go, though, didn't they? They were holding him for a little while. That is such great news. Yay. Y'all heard it here first. I'm going to enjoy it so much, Alma. And I'm getting a birthday gift. And I'm not supposed to know what my birthday gift is, but I'll tell you what it is if you don't tell anyone. Yeah. Okay. So he is in federal custody on ammo charges, and he was just named as an official suspect. Very good. In the death of Katie, or the disappearance of Katie. Good deal. Yay. Yes. Okay, but y'all don't tell anybody what my present is, but I'm sincerely excited because I've wanted one it is, Alma, but I wanted one forever and a day. And now I'm finally getting it, but nobody knows that I know, but I do know. I'm getting a professional KitchenAid mixer. And the reason that I need the professional commercial grade KitchenAid is because I want to make Divinity. And every year I burn up my mixers by trying to make Divinity. And the KitchenAid 7 it is a beast. It will make Divinity all day long, coming and going. So that's my birthday present, but I hadn't opened it yet. So I got to be quiet and not tell anybody that I know. When I open it, I have to say, oh my gosh, just what I wanted. That's why I never got one, Alma. Divinity is the most luscious candy on the face of the planet. It's amazing. And it's very difficult to make because it requires like this chemical reaction for it to be done proper, for it to candy properly. And part of the process is that it goes through this period of being almost like taffy, right? It's like super thick and it's really sticky and heavy, and normal mixers just can't do it, you know? Thank you, Fancy Nancy. Thank you so much. I'm going to practice. Oh my goodness, just what I wanted. I'm going to practice that. I'm going to work on it. I will tell you my son. So my son is like 6'4". He's like this big beast of a guy, right? My dad's side of the family, all really big, you know, like basketball. Both my dad and uncle played college basketball. My dad played AAA ball, baseball and American Legion ball. And so they were, you know, big guys. Well, my son is like that. So he's a big, tall brute of a kid. But his favorite thing in high school, yes, he gave up football to be on the debate team. Broke my husband's heart. Broke the coach's hearts. Okay. So he's, you know, he's he's super smart. He's a really smart guy. And hold on just a second. Okay, sorry about that. So he damn it, hold on just a second. Hold on, I got a problem here. Okay, I'm gonna have to go 7-3. Woo-wee. That is serious. Okay. I have to go. Somebody needs me to call them right now. And I'm really sorry I have to do this, but I don't have a choice. So I have to go. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for hanging out with me and being silly and talking. And we will definitely talk about Adam Avila and Katie. We will talk about that, probably be tomorrow. Okay. All right. Y'all have a great day. Thanks for listening to me yammer about. Talk to you later. Bye.